Hello! It's me, Johannes.
And me, Riad. And welcome to our update video for our first huge free update.
Of the full released version, basically.
Yes, is it a DLC? Is it like an expansion?
Nobody knows.
Call it whatever you want, but it's like a huge free update.
Yes, it's huge, it's awesome. That's for sure.
Yes, it's called the Arctic Expanse. Yeah, so the title already gives away what it's about, mostly, but not. There's a lot of content in there.
Yes, exactly. It's not only about Arctic, even though it was like the dominant theme for us this time.
So, there's so much stuff that it's impossible for us to mention everything in this video.
Absolutely impossible.
So we thought it would be fun to do like a top 5 list from you and from myself and go through like our own maybe personal favorite features in there. Alright.
Who starts? You want to start? You go first. So,
Alright, no.
Riad and Jo's top 5 of new stuff in Arctic Expanse.
Yes, so number 5. We start from the bottom, right?
Drum roll.
So, one change that I like in this new version, you can have multiple, we call them zones, enemies, overlapping with each other. So before, I don't know if you ever noticed, but the areas surrounding the enemies, they could never overlap. So we've kind of reworked the system and they now can overlap with each other. They also animate now, like they transition nicely over the tiles. And I think that will be like really interesting, having to deal with multiple enemies, like sharing the same space and so on. Like on one tile there can still only be one enemy, but they can be next to each other.
My place 5, that's 10. 5 is the corrupted aftermath. So basically, it's a new negative aftermath that will happen when you loot shrines, which basically spawns evil caves across the land. From those caves, there's a corrupted, evil, otherworldly fungus spreading, and it's corrupting the lands around those caves, tainting it red and almost blood-soaked. It looks super evil. And from those caves also, you have a constant stream of giant spiders emerging, which are directly coming after you. As long as you are in that world, they will not stop coming. Unless you go to the cave and you wipe out the spider nest inside of it. That's pretty cool already. But, and I don't want to spoil it too much, but there is something inside. There's a small chance that you find something inside those caves. Something like a gate to a different place. And there's something to find there which is really worthwhile, but it's a very low chance. So it's very much of a secret. There's a lot of new nice secrets in there. I'd love to talk more about them, but yeah, I don't want to spoil it too much. So yes, that's my place 5, the corrupted aftermath.
Alright, let's go to 4. 4. Alright, on 4 for me is the huge amount of new events that we have. That was another top request, that we add more variation in like the type of events that happen when you run out of sanity or when you encounter other people and so on. So we've added way over 50 new events of these, which have their own sub-stories, their own effects on the party and so on. So there will be much more variation, and there are some events that are specific to the Arctic content, to the Arctic world, but most of those events fit to multiple territories. So even if you don't, I don't know why you wouldn't, but even if you don't play the Arctic stuff, there's still so many new events in the main game too. It's pretty cool, I think.
My number 4 is again a new aftermath. We have quite a few new aftermaths. But this one is it's about poisonous gas. So when you loot a shrine, what can happen is instead of you know the volcanoes that are spawning from the ground, but this time we have those. The proper names are fumaroles. I don't know how to pronounce it properly, but it's like basically openings, like small chimneys that are coming out of the ground, and from them emerging is a green, deadly, poisonous gas, which fills the area. And when you move through that, everybody in your track will be taking health damage. And the clouds, they stay there for some time and then go away, and after a certain amount of time the fumaroles will again spit out poisonous stinking gas. And I really like the dynamic of this negating the area, or you can consider, or maybe I move a little bit through it, and also fart jokes.
Very important.
Yes. Number 3.
Number 3. With the new Arctic biome, that brings us up one more biome next to the jungle grasslands, the dry lands, the desert one. Prehistoric, and then some hidden ones. But these are like our core biomes that we have in the game. And so like in general there's more diversity when you play through the game. And we also want to make sure, we would love for you to play more different biomes. So before it was kind of easy to play through the whole game just taking the jungle, just choosing to stay in the jungle the whole time. But we would love for you to play all kinds of biomes, like go into the Arctic and then go to the desert and go to the jungle. So we've added a bonus for you when you go to a biome that you haven't visited before. And also on the world map, we have a new world map, but more on that later. The selection of biomes that you will be offered is also more diverse and takes into account which biomes you have actually visited before. So I think a regular playthrough through the game will be much more diverse than before and much more exciting. And then there's like some strategy goes into it, like do you go to the Arctic biome early on or do you keep it for later? And so I'm really excited to see like all the new meta strategies and like diverse gameplay happening now.
Yes, and also much more different objects picked up, and also coloring your track, which leads me to my number 3, which is we have a new tribe type, which are the people of the Arctic. So I had a lot of fun back then doing the generation of our tribes in the current biomes. And I got to revisit the system, and now we have a completely new look for people that live in the Arctic regions. So they are inspired by actual tribes which are in the northern areas. They have a very distinctive look, and they add a lot of like visual variation to how your track is made up of specific individuals. I really liked working on them, and I really like having them around me even when I'm picking them up in an Arctic biome and then traveling somewhere else, even though they are like completely misdressed. They just keep the furs on their body and are then in the jungle. But I think that's part of the fun, and I really enjoy seeing them every time they are generated.
Number 2. Alright, so for me, on number 2 is a whole lot of UI improvements in the game. Like one big focus for this update was to improve the readability of the game and make it more transparent what's actually happening. That does not mean removing the mystery or removing some of this feeling of discovery, because that's really important for us. But for some game rules, for some mechanics, we didn't make a good job explaining what's actually happening, like on a mechanical level. For example, if you are injured, you can get infected, but we didn't tell you how likely this chance is. Only through playing and just trying the game, you can get a feeling like, oh, maybe it's like 10% or 15%, or I'm not entirely sure. So now we just show you the percentage. We show you like the chance of you getting an infection is this percentage, and if you have items, for example, or perks, which influence this number, you also see that. So when you're hovering over status, you see like, oh, this one adds 30% to my infection chance, for example. And I think that's makes it much better game to articulate these influences, because we had a lot of hidden stuff in there, a lot of like stuff where like having a native would influence, for example, your standing and so on, and we didn't articulate that. Now we do. We make it really clear, or try to make it clear what the rules are, and I think that makes it much more fun. Or for example, when you are out of sanity, there's like a percentage which shows you the risk, how risky it is to keep moving beyond like your maximum endurance capability.
Yeah, that's really in your face feedback, and I also really like that one.
Yes, so for me the whole UI improvements there, like you can see the duration of how long status will last. It's too many to tell them all right now, but
oh yeah, the duration also is really general, as Riyad said, the readability of so many systems has been improved by I don't know how much percent. Certainly more than 30%.
87%. But yeah, now I'm especially interested in people that play the game a lot, like the pro players. Like, what will you do like with this knowledge now? Like, now you can get really into the numbers and the details and understand like, oh, this item combined with this item is more powerful than this perk and so on. And we made it so that it's like for newbies it's not like overwhelming, I hope. But if you like really want to get into it, the information is there now.
So Riyad's number 2 was about information and conveying the information. Mine is obviously about something purely visual. We have such a nice snow particle system now. There's a random chance whether it's snowing or not. And also it behaves a little differently depending on if you're staying overnight or if you're going somewhere by day. But it really adds a lot to the believability and how alive a scene feels when there's just this little snow coming down. It looks very pretty. I like it a lot.
Number one. Okay, our personal highlights of this update. Yeah, it's kind of, for me, the main thing for this update, it's in the name, it's the Arctic region. I think just the fantasy fulfillment of going into like these places is great. And what I'm especially happy with is that I feel like the Arctic area has its own identity. Also from gameplay, it plays a little different. And for example, to highlight one thing, if you go over pack ice, the ice crumbles after you've walked over the tile. That's like a new gameplay that we are not having in any other region. So, and this is just a small example.
It will screw you over so many times.
Yeah, I mean, we built in a safety check to not make it super punishing, but you will definitely have to take it into account.
Yes.
And it adds a new layer of gameplay.
My number one thing that is in the game is the Arctic station. So that is something which basically is the mission of the Arctic. It's usually found in every Arctic area. You always have at least 2 of these stations. And they serve as a place where you can rest and sleep and trade. But most importantly, there you can hire a dog sled to take you from one station to the other. Which is fantastic because you don't need to spend the sanity points. You're much faster traveling from station to station. So it's basically a little bit like a train station system, and it changes the way how you're playing Arctic regions completely. Like they play absolutely different than any other region. It's very much the identity from those regions, gameplay wise, comes from the Arctic stations. They look fantastic. We made sure and tried to hint at something. They are a little bit a resemblance of the Arctic station from The Thing, from John Carpenter, because we both are big fans of that movie. And you will also see some other hints at that movie. And yeah, last but not least, also the funny thing is like how you're sleeping there and how you're traveling. The mission you have to pay always to the missionary because they're greedy. At the Arctic station, we had the idea to buy tickets. So basically, yes, you can purchase like bulks of tickets, which make them less expensive, right? And then every time you want to go somewhere or sleep, the person at the Arctic station is asking you for your ticket. And that's something I'm really proud about, and the whole location really feels good, and
and it's like you said, it feels different. It's not just it fulfills the same role as a mission, but the gameplay is completely different and unique to the Arctic, which is really cool.
Yeah, I think that concludes our list. Do you have a runner-up?
Oh, there's
like one spontaneous runner-up?
There's so much stuff we missed. The locations that are spawned inside of the worlds, we've also gone through that algorithm and kind of reworked it so the worlds feel more fair, more diverse at the same time. Well, you will notice. That's just like we tuned the world generation quite a bit in this update, and yeah, that would be my runner-up.
My runner-up are female dogs. Dogs used to be only male, now we have female dogs.
All right.
Yeah, and also thank you for looking into our game, looking at this video, maybe spreading the news about our update, and that it's free and it's like for everybody.
We mentioned it's free.
Did we mention it's free yet? Yes. So yeah, basically this is also, the whole thing is like a more or less like a thank you again to you and our customer and fan base.
We would be nothing without you and all the support and the feedback that you've given and so on was really like, it's really huge for us.
Yes, keeps us going. It's not only the money, it's also that we know you are really appreciating and enjoying what we are doing.
Yes. And that you're like really understanding the game, kind of like maybe what makes it.
And if you don't, there's a wiki. It's in the main menu, there's a button. Check out the wiki.
But since we are talking about keeping going, maybe just small, short words about the future. So the next update, I think it's pretty clear that it will be about modding.
Yes.
That would be from the technical side. Maybe there will also be like a content side.
Yeah.
We haven't decided yet what to do next, but we will want to add modding so that you can add your own events. We will open up our toolkit basically, so you literally can do whatever you want.
Yes, it's gonna be simple. We are not planning on doing some kind of like visual interface or anything. As you know, we are not using Unity or any of the big engines. So everything we are working with is more or less handcrafted. So all you will need to do to create events for the game is have a script editor. That's all.
Or Notepad.
Or not even Notepad.
Just a text editor.
Yeah. Just one more thing, if you are interested in modding the game or a modder yourself and you would be interested in maybe looking at this stuff before we are releasing it and help us, please reach out and contact us. Right now we are basically starting to collect people who are interested in more or less beta testing the whole modding thing. We don't have any dates yet for it, right?
Yes.
That would be stupid to give you dates. We don't know yet, but it's not gonna be next year.
So it will be the next big time
next big thing
update. The next time you will probably hear from us. It's the modding stuff, because we're all super excited about seeing what you can come up with and being able to combine different mods, and because the structure of the game is really well suited for this approach.
Absolutely.
And talking about modding, also translations are already supported, as you might know from our last update. So we're excited to see more translations coming online. You can visit our forum on our website to see all the languages that people are working on. So that's also pretty exciting for us. Yes.
Off we go. Enjoy the new contents and give us feedback. Help us spread the word, and talk to you soon.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye.